For sure, Elevate, Elu Divrei, Elohim, Chaim. But this is the Missouri we live by. It's 25th of a dark, 5786, Saturday, March 14th. This bitch is Pi Day, baby. And boy, do I have a fucking surprise for y'all. Really? Oh, dog. We're gonna watch Kabbalah because I'm tired as fuck. My hours are all over this, but you get to watch me do some of the most athletic shit of all time. And that's flip this fucking mattress. And for those of you who might consider this work, go fuck yourself. Nobody really knows what day it is. Dog. Why? Because it was bad. Everybody knows it happened to our previous matches where we had that fucking Puerto Rican telescope. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, from the NSA, everybody knows what I'm talking about, baby. It's run by fucking Florida Atlantic University or some shit right now. Nobody knows what the fuck I'm saying. Dog, you all have no idea the amount of athleticism that you're about to witness. I really mean this. This is gonna be a motherfucking bitch. Really? Oh, dog. But I'm starting to break down the springs. Yeah. Okay. So how do we do this, Rabbi? Dude, this shit sucks. Really? Dog. Look at this move. Look at this athleticism, folks. Folks, if you're watching at home, this is your favorite bursting fucking hooksing or whatever the fuck that Yiddish term is. Really? Whew. Oh fuck. I should probably look at what that word is. Dog, what's up, Netanyahu? Motherfuckers on a fucking fishing expedition or some shit. Anyway. Why aren't you teaching Kabbalah? Dog, go watch this shit. So we got shit to do, baby. Plots. I'm plotsing with athleticism, baby. Dog, you have no idea what you're about to witness. I can hear the springs like a fucking instrument. Look at this move. Folks, if you're watching at home and you're wondering if you had on your bingo card, you see ass check, nose picking, check, mattress flipping? Maybe not. Now look at this move, folks. Folks, I don't really know how we're going to do it. Like this, or like this. You got to finish it out. Look at this move. Look at this move. Look at this athleticism, folks. Look at this move. Look at that. That's a fucking plywood, kids. Oh, fuck yeah. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Oh. What is that stain? Nobody knows. Look at this move, though. I should really flip it like this. Really? Yeah. Dog. This is unexpected. Look at this move. Oh, fuck. Look at this move. Folks, this is like when my Hulk Hogan lifted up the Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3 in the Silver Dome in Pontiac, Michigan. Kids, this is unprecedented athleticism. Folks, I never thought I'd see something so athletic. Look at this move. This is like a dance. A dance. Oh, fuck. Minutes athleticism, son. Dog. Dog. Have you banged chicks on this matches? Really? Yeah. Yeah. Let me see the video. Dog, I wasn't streaming back then. Really? Yeah. Dog, did you see that athleticism? Where'd that stain go? Who knows? Look at this move. Folks. People are going to be like, who gives a shit about Kabbalah today? Did you see Rabbi do that fucking dance with the mattress? Look at this athleticism, folks. Look at this move. I'm like a Houthi warlord with this fucking comforter. What does that even mean? Oh, man. What does it mean, baby? Look at this. What are we doing here? What are we doing here, B? Look at this move. Which side's the upper side? No one knows. Really? Dog, look at this move. What does Kabbalah mean? It means seriously, it can also mean tradition like that fucking soup. Really? Well, everybody knows that. Do you think BB's alive? What would you do if he's dead? Mourn his loss? Really? Yeah, baby. Dude, no way. You're going to flip this shit? You're going to flip this shit? Look at this athleticism, folks. Folks. Where does this tag go? This is the foot of the bed. Yeah, that's I saw it on the Martha Stewart at some point. What's that one bitch's name? Getting crafty with Abby or some shit. That bitch can get it. Really? What was it called? Not Too Shabby with Abby? Did you see some motherfuckers? Dog. Look at this. This is unprecedented athleticism. And I did it with a bad knee. This is like Howie Long playing in the Super League. This is incredible athleticism. Unprecedented athleticism. What's your favorite Super Bowl? All of them? Yeah, but which one really? Super Bowl 20. There's no other fucking answer. Really? Super Bowl 20? Yeah. Look at this athleticism. XX, baby. Why Super Bowl 20? You a Patriots fan? I'm a Niners fan for life. This guy sucks. Boring. Motherfuckers didn't even say at the beginning. Nobody knows for sure. Elu Bay, Elu Ekri. Elu Bay, Elu. Divrei Elokim Chaim. But this is Missouri we live by. He didn't even say that. Look at this athleticism. Folks, look at this modesty. Did you see that? It was like WrestleMania 3, kids. Kids, you will remember where you were on this day when you saw your favorite fucking rabbi lift this fucking mattress. Dog. Athleticism. Look at this move. What are we doing here, B? If somebody gets up and course on those tips or writing tips, even if they have a tinge or more than a tinge of arrogance, you may say, you know, I don't care about their arrogance. At least I'm getting what my money's worth. I get the tips. I don't care about the pussy. But if they're talking about my heart and soul, not emotions. Because she's heart and soul, do heart and soul. You got it all. Every night. That's fucking sports. That's the name of the album, folks. If you don't know, that fucking Huey Lewis is a brother. You need to know. You need to learn. He also likes to fly fish in Montana. And we learned that from an interview that he did on CBS Sunday morning. You know, we had like another family. Kids, check this out. Push bread. Just like a rabbit, you don't smell. This athleticism. Dog, this motherfucker did all this with a torn ACL? Really? Oh, dog. No doubt. I've yet to watch the injury on instant replay, but I know a torn ACL. I feel when this bitch is torn. Really? It's torn like that Natalie Imbruglia song, motherfucker. Oh. This guy sucks. What rabbi is this? Some bullshit one that doesn't even preface this shit with by saying Elu Ve'elu Ekri. No, Elu Ve'elu Divrei Elohim Chaim. Is it Elohim? Elohim? Oh, that's whatever I want it to be. Really? Freaking over. Really? Oh yeah, bitch. Look at this athleticism, though. Look at this move. Really? Dog. This is like November 13th, 1993. All over again. Why? Dog. Do you see this athleticism? This motherfucker is putzing. I'm kind of a plumber myself. When I get in that fucking J-pipe, girl. Really? Oh, for sure. Look at this athleticism, though. Look at this move. Look at this move. Look at this move. Are you gonna have a maid someday? Yeah, bitch. And that bitch is gonna wear a fucking hot ass French maid uniform. Really? Yeah, with doilies and shit. Really? Yeah. She's gonna fluff my pillows and I'm gonna masturbate on t-shirts. Really? Yeah. Are you sure you did this fucking mattress in the right way? I did the best I could, kids. Really? Athleticism. Look at this move. Really? Who the fuck is Lily? I don't know. But she's gonna be an important part of it. Really? Really, Lily? What's her role? To get cummed inside? Look at this body. This guy's a PhD in Kabbalah. So do I. I have a pretty huge dick. Really? I'll put my dick up against that motherfucker any day. Really? And it used to be longer. Yeah, the cut off part of it. Look at this athleticism, though. Folks. No, I'm great. So great, baby. None? Dog, did you see how athletic that was?
And that's a master in both worlds. But the Akiva and others were also masters. They also knew Kabbalah. But he was the teacher. I should say the student of Kabbalah. In many ways, he represented the element of a transparent and empty container child. And no Samana Baham with the Talmud says. Rabbi Rothschild said, all I am is a sign. I'm nothing. I am just a child. Look at me as a signpost. That's what he said. Because he channeled that deeper and higher wisdom. Again, I want to make it clear, that Rabbi Akiva and many sages did. But some people stand out for what he did in that way, and that's what he represented. The bridging of those two worlds, the bridging of the world of the soul and the world of the body. The soul of Torah, the body of Torah. The soul of the human being, the body of human. The soul of the cosmos, the body of the cosmos. Because as the Kabbalah teaches us, Talmud, and the Medrash, the sages teach, another fundamental. Everything that exists in the microcosm universe, cosmic level, exists in microcosm in a miniature form within us. Small universe, many universe. Universe microcosm, that's the person. And Adam God is and the human and the world is a large organism, a large microcosm. Microcosm. So it's all intertwined. Like a hologram, it's not just intertwined, it's all continually interconnected as one large integral unity, multifaceted pieces. Harmony within diversity. That's what I'm sharing by your friends. So the true meaning of Kabbalah is to receive, is to free yourself, to empty yourself, to shed your sense of self in order to absorb and channel and receive something greater than yourself. That's its essence. And it's holistic teachings and mystical things. It's more important than ever. When you study, let's say, law, halacha, Jewish law, you study, for example, what's supposed to be done on Shabbat, what laws, what work you can do, what you can't do, what prayers to say, what you eat on Passover, what you do on Shavuos. So there you're mastering facts. Facts, intricate facts, very different opinions, there's theories, there's ideas. But it's facts. You need humility as well. All wisdom, gracious to Hashem. The beginning of all wisdom is all of the divine, something greater than you. But when you're dealing with the inner dimension, the subtlety becomes so much greater. Think of it like this: when a piece of dust is on your finger, a little ego on your finger, blemish. A little piece of dust is on your eye, and then it's very irritating. The deeper you go inside the inner workings, every small nuance, every detail, every iota is so much more significant. That's why the level of the DNA, the cellular, the microscopic level, much more. So in Kabbalah, every blemish, every tinge of ego, that's not Kabbalah mode, meaning receptive mode, can distort. It may not distort immediately, but in time. So that's critical for the journey. So people say, I want to go on a journey to Kabbalah. The more you move, the less you have. The Kabbalah journey of Kabbalah requires stepping back. You don't want it so much. See what's in what I do? Get the I out of the sentence, not I want. You want to experience something greater? Free yourself. Of what? Of your ego, of your determination. Just become a humble, simple person. And you'll happen, these distance will open up for you. It emerges. You cannot acquire it. Trying to force it goes against the whole nature of it. Try to force the petals of a flower to open. Try to force a child to come out of the womb of premature. It needs the time to develop, it needs time to emerge, and it's a process. It's a process and emergence that we need. And we need the humility, the Kabbalah state of being. We're in a receptive mode. You're not the giver. You're not the acquisition, the acquirer. You're not the buyer, the purchaser. You are in a receptive mode, and then it emerges. Abraham was searching for God. He did a process of elimination. And some massive, major idol maker. He made a god, an idol, and a idol. Abraham at a young age realized it's a whole drug. He realized these idols made of wood or stone or metal were meaningless. So he rejected them. The world of the pagan world of his father and his community, his society. He began searching how to choose talks and cakes. Not that, but maybe. He went out into the meadows, into the fields, into nature. Looked around, beautiful nature, to the sun, the moon. Maybe it's that. And he realized the sunset, the moonset, they're just part of the same thing, they're just bigger, more distant, maybe more awesome. And he came slowly to a constant illumination saying, it's not this series. The stars is beyond the stars. And then he came to the big epiphany, the realization. I'm looking for my creator. I'm looking for God. I'm just a piece of the whole creation. If there's indeed a creator, I'm one little piece. How could the piece define the whole? The whole defines the piece. And he realized that every search is undermining his ability to truly experience. And of course, you can experience some levels of transcendence. But when he discovered that he has to let go, and then what happened the search itself, though commendable, terrible, and everybody should search, the search they can just let it emerge. Let me close my eyes, my ears, my taste, touch, and smell. Let me stop using my aggressive faculties of resources and senses. And let me see what happens. And that quietude, and that silence, God emerges. Because the truth emerges from within. It's not something there. Again, you could experience something out there, but the truth comes from within. And when Abraham realized that, he said, you just have to let go. I need to be Kabbalist. I need to be in receptive mode. Stand in front of a beautiful, natural wonder. What happens? If you're trying to master it, you're trying to look at pictures of it, let me analyze it, let me explain it, there's a certain moment you have to realize you just let go. Just stand in awe. And it's an unbelievably purifying and transformative and refining experience. Because it's not about you. You suddenly get absorbed in the moment. Deep in music. You're listening to music. If you start analyzing this music, I like it. Stop. Stop everything. Let go. In the way you undress everything. You know what happens? The music engulfs you. Just like when you go underwater. There's that piece. You allow it to consume you instead of you consuming it. But if you're a consumer, you're a purchaser. An acquisition person becomes commercial. Same thing when you get absorbed in the book. If you're reading the words and you recognize the words in the pages, You're not alone. You're not alone. Let go and laugh. The song come by, say, oh, it's a reader. The book, you don't even realize there's words on the page. And good guys can do that. Everything melts. Everything melts where the object and subject become one. And you're completely absorbed. These are the most magical moments of life. And then suddenly you wake up and you're out of it. The same thing is when we're in love. And deep love. The passion to express the ultimate is a loss of self. Completely melting and absorbed. We wish we could have much more of that. But we're human beings that do live in a world of duality. We don't always, I'm not always blessed to be able to come into that place where you melt into the experience. But that's the ultimate experience. You become it, not your experience. A dry hand becomes wet when it's put into water. A fish is part of the wetness. Water itself doesn't become wet. It is wet. You can acquire knowledge, but you can become knowledge. You become what you know, not just what idea. You become it. You experience it. And initially you experience it. You're experiencing something. There's being personified this type of seamlessness of all of existence. And you live on that level. It's a very sublime and very pure level. But the mission and goal was not to remain. It was to enter a world of duality, a world of pettiness, and their repair. As the story is, that be at the high in the Romans who suing him because he studied in Torah, which was a forbidden death penalty. He lived for 12 years in a mire in a cave, black food. All they kept coming this unbelievable sublime state with his son, Rabbi Rothschild. Then he knew that he can come back. So he came back, but he was at this point so refined, so away from civilization that as soon as he saw nonsense, the pettiness, the meaningless things people get involved in, the Wall Street, the polarization of politics, whatever he looked back, the time it says began to burn. Figuratively, literally, meaning his deep spiritual state cannot tolerate. And therefore destroyed everything around. So Hashem got him. Go back at 15th year, garments feet, become more mature. And now the 30th year, one more year, has been whatever he went through with him, whatever he's working with. The first level is much greater. He's so high, spirituality, but that's not the purpose of existence. The purpose of existence is that be that spiritual, but also know how to package it, how to tailor it, how to communicate it to a world, to a conscious world, to a world that is not living in that sublime level, only spiritually, slowly teach them also how to become that type of something. And that's what we, man of our. So even though it was his passing, which is a sad day, but because he saw the seamlessness and unity of everything, he immediately saw within the passing, he saw the great beauty and the great joy that would come out of it, that there's still his day. Similar to his teacher, Rabbi Akiva, actually, the time of the Makkah, and the Makkah says, the whole tells an interesting story, where Akiva and his colleagues were standing and looking at the Temple Mount. And they were mourning the fact that the destruction of the they saw fox running out of the place that was once the holy and desolate wilderness. So his colleagues began to cry because it was the fulfillment of the prophecy. The temple would be destroyed for the sins of the people. And the king began to laugh. Why are you laughing? So he says, because we read on the prophecy at the end of it, that after that it will be rebuilt, greater than ever, and never be destroyed again. So what was the difference? And then his colleague said to him, Akiva Akiva, you console us. You console us.
What is typical?
Consoling for the sad and consoling for the positive that come.
It is.
But the Rabbi Akiva see that they didn't see. He had a different set of eyes. Because his name is Rabbi Akiva. Akiva comes from the root Akiva. He came from the politics. He was humble, his parents were humble with different opinions. He did not study Torah until he was 4 years old. He knew a life that was desolate. And he saw the desolation come greatness. So he understood something that others who grew up in prosperity, spiritual prosperity, and knowledge, dramatically appreciate. So I'm surprised that his student Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, Rabbi Hill of Pirates, said that Rabbi Shimon Zalman, that for great souls like him, there was no destruction. He was so beyond destruction. But he still lived in the world of destruction. When his soul is must be like even deeper than Rabbi Kiva in a way. The taking Rabbi Kiva's cue, even in the negative, the positive. And he teaches us how to transform. That's the power of the esoteric. So now, once we know that we have to be in that mode, so then, you know what happens? Your soul starts speaking to you. If you're going to try with a jackhammer and with a pliers, all the secrets of Kabbalah like this before, rest of tools, that can work for things. You break open the chest, you see what the secrets are. In your soul, you need the opposite tools of subtlety. You want your soul to speak to you. Stop pursuing. Stop being so much about yourself. More humility. Be charitable. And something will open up. Because it speaks to us only when there's nothing else in the way. As the Talmud says, God says, I, an arrogant person, cannot rest on the one canopy. There's no room for both of us. If your cup is full, it can't be filled. Kabbalah says, empty your cup, you know what happened? Your soul will be speaking. So it's humility. It's the commitment and dedication to responsibility. And being a soldier committed to a cause that allows the secrets of your soul of the cosmos to open up. For centuries, this was kept a very private thing. It was able to do it. And those that did it to everybody else. But we don't live in a world like that anymore. It's not a pure world. Today, number one, we live in much darker times. And therefore, we have to dig deep in order to find spiritual resources. As the famous analogy of Rabbi Shneir of the Advent, who said, how are you teaching these secrets? You don't abuse it, don't waste it. He says, well, you know, he gave an analogy of a child who fell very ill, the child of a king, his only child. He was deathly ill, and the doctors gave him hope. Nothing. And they saw doctors and medical experts from all over the world. Finally, one exotic city, the doctor arrives, says, I have a thought. The king has a crown. And that crown is some of the most precious jewels on earth. It's its most precious gem of all. It's a rare, rare gem nobody else has. If you crush that gem and you mix its powder with a little water, you try to get it between the clenched teeth of the sickly child, that may help. It's most jewel. It's sun. I hear it. And they crushed it, and that's what they did. And most of it's still on the ground. Wasted. But that one drop saved the child. And even the doubt was enough. From Shneir Zalman said, yes, the precious gem of the inner workings, which we don't just share with everyone, is necessary to look as the child is seeking. Assimilation, alienation, disorientation. Everything that people experience today when it comes to spirituality. So we could do better, something deeper, as the and the Baal Shem Tov took a step further when from Messiah. That when will you come? He asked the Messiah, your well springs, not just your waters. The well springs themselves, the essence, the source itself, will be disseminated and spread outward to the farthest outskirts. And Hasidic teachings, which is essentially Kabbalah for the modern time, developed from Shneir Zalman of the Advent, developed a Chabad system of making it and metaphors and analogies that we can relate to these deepest spiritual concepts. In many ways, that reveals even a deeper dimension if you're able to do that. There's a listen when he said, and it's also a taste of what will come in the future of the Messianic age. We even children, like in the time of Rabbi, will be able to relate to the soul. today, ironically, though we're not on the level of the people of the previous generations, but we have much more revelation. But that still has to be taught with care. As if someone said, to know these rights, very important to speak about it in metaphorical language. People should take literally many of the Kabbalistic analogies based. And to teach the esoteric, teach the subtlety. As I said before, if you have that Kabbalah mode, teach the subtlety. And what do you discover? Unbelievable insights. And yes, secrets of the inner workings, literally the inner schematics of the spiritual genome of the human being and of the cosmos. I'm talking about some of these matters at different times. And it literally opens up a whole new dimension of who you are. You may think you are arms, legs, bodies, limbs, organs. But we know today the human body is made of all those are made up of tissue, and muscle. And go even deeper inside there, you find the circulatory system, the nervous system, the neurological system, to the point of the cellular level, to the point of the chromosomes, the DNA itself. Things that are invisible to the naked. Same thing in the macrocosm, also in the microcosm. Everything of substance is made up of elements of molecules, of atoms. Who knows how far down the rabbit hole teaches us that when you go to the inner, it's a whole new reality. Well, it's not only a revelation of the inner. You can see how that's esoteric. I was surprised the classic Zohar work that I mentioned from Rabbi actually says in one of the chapters that the year, which corresponds to our 1850. The 1840s, the Industrial Revolution. There will be an explosion of higher knowledge and lower knowledge. Explosion of the esoteric teachings of color and of the sciences and technology. They both go hand in hand with the inner workings. But obviously the Kabbalah goes even deeper into the spiritual atoms and subatomic particles, the spiritual DNA. And we discover a whole new reality. And when you know that reality, you can understand existence in a new way. You no longer just look at surface level, you understand the forces that shape the surface. So urologists will tell you the systems, the pressure systems, underlying forces, the winds and so on, that cause weather systems. You know, the Kabbalists will tell you what's behind those meteorological forces. What's behind the human being inner expression, inner psyche. So yes, deeply therapeutic, deeply psychological, deeply spiritual. And the more you study it, the more you come to realize, look at the world right now instead of the outside. That's what Kabbalah can do. And it opens up new vistas. And unprecedented insights. To be able to fresh a new way. To be able to have healthy relationships and reach potential that many of us are not even aware of. Because you discover those inner workings. And there's that prerequisite. You can't go there. It doesn't let you in. And that door is open on you and allow you to take advantage. And then you'd be surprised what happens. So we do that through studies. You put yourself aside and just study. We do it through good deeds, through charitable acts of compassion. The more refined you are, the more humble and modest, the more selfless, put yourself aside, the more this emerges. But obviously, studying it gives you the information. So, my friends, and this one volume, which is the door, is a bridge. And I would say a door. It opens up a window, a door to a new reality. We have the opportunity to enter there through that humble act. We celebrate with children on that day. Not a surprise, because children are exactly that. They're the best who we are. The egoists, the selflessness. Now children can, yes, be arrogant. They usually learn from adults. But children also have that simplicity. They need to be like carried over to the rest of the year. So to give one example, because there's so much. One example is a whole discussion about the idea of a Moichas Tima means or the hidden intelligence. It's somewhat called subconscious, unconscious, and like to call it super conscious, which is beyond conscious. That's it. That's an area that we don't have that. However, the conscious mind does a smaller has have access. As Bishop Koyach Man, the power of what is that? So based on the Zohar, in several places, specific teachings explain that this bridge between Chachmas Tema and Chachmas Gvir, super conscious intelligence, conscious intelligence, is that bridge, that faucet, that regulates the flow in two ways. One is through effort, and this is through humanity, selflessness, Kabbalah style. You just commit to the cause. You cannot open it with arrogance. You cannot open it to the contrary. That will make you even close even deeper. So you see, sometimes you see a child hiding. You say, you go aggressively to find the child runs away. A flower will open when you allow it. If you try to push it, the flower can maybe even tighten up. So it's the process of letting go that allows that door to open. The effort, which means diligence, not just for humanity, what we just come to you, and the type of commitment selflessness. One thought comes from the Zohar's teachings explaining to myself, Hasidic thought. There are many, many others, and they map out everything about us. In my book, The Spiritual Dilemma, the ideas that are based there are from Kabbalistic and Hasidic and Kabbalistic works, ultimately based on the Zohar, how each one of the spheres is another divine attribute that turns into a human faculty. And when we refine it, we just don't give in to our natural instincts and impulses. When we refine our chesed, our kindness, and our good, our discipline, and our compassion, and our ambition and determination, and our humility, and yielding, our bonding and our dignity, you align yourself. These are esoteric ideas that shape who you are as a person. But it's all a requisite for all of it is not selfless humility. You get the Kabbalah and so much part of it. So on this day, it's a great idea. Actually study something. You can go online, meaningful.com. You can just look up Rashbi or Kabbalah, study something, read something. But also make a commitment to yourself, to your soul, to the soul of these teachings. That you're going to try to discover more. But do it not in this aggressive manner. Commit to it. Stick to it. But stick to it and commit to it in a humble way. Not that I want it. It's necessary. It's necessary for me. What better way to start the natural world, the park, rains, the bridge between the inner and the outer. Ultimately, the world in which we live is the tip of the iceberg. We don't really see the inner. The more you get connected, the more you connect to reality. And the more that has a ripple effect on people around you, on your friends, family, strangers, and then ultimately on the world. And yes, it enhances relationships. It improves infinitely because you start looking at life in a different way, not what I have, then let me figure out what do I do, and then figure out who I am, who are you, and then let that dictate what you do. Figure out why I'm purpose, and that dictates activities. So may Allah open up this challenge and blessings from the to all of us, to each of us. Please know that being for our centers here for your partners, access, take advantage, make use of all our resources on our website. And please stay in touch in every possible way. Connect with us, share, like, pass it on. We're every Wednesday. This is a live program. It's archived. You can download on iTunes, podcasts, wherever you wish. We're on all platforms. And your suggestions, ideas, feedback, thoughts, regards, questions, suggestions, thoughts. And then we'll share a very blessed week that connects the inner and discuss the merit of the she was shaped, she is this little shaped. Show us how well, as Rabbi said, and it can rely. Like the colleagues of Rabbi said, you can rely on them when things are under pressure. And Rabbi himself said, I can redeem you from judgments. They redeem us from all judgment, redeem in the general sense of sin and global redemption. And the merit of this powerful day. Everyone do well. It's like P.C. Jacobson. Meaningful like that. Thank you so much.
Boring.
The ancient mystical teachings known as Kabbalah, which for millennia has been unknown, obscure, hidden, secret, has recently become so known, even fashionable. You hear the word Kabbalah? I know in my traveling and speaking engagements, you add the word the Kabbalah of, you have double the audience. The Kabbalah of money, the Kabbalah of sexuality, the Kabbalah of Donald Trump. Just kidding. The Kabbalah of anything right away has to be intrigued. So I would think, okay, everything has its time. Once obscure and hidden and concealed, now it's become popular. And fashionable. Is that really the case? Do we even know what Kabbalah is? Do we even know the meaning of the word Kabbalah? Ask yourself. Ask anyone out there. What is the word? So most people's secrets of existence, the secrets of the cosmos. Is that the definition of the word Kabbalah, or is that what the teachings teach? But even that, what does that mean? The secrets of the cosmos. There are 4 personality types, archetypes, that define us all. Of course, Kabbalah of the 4 elements. So let's begin why Kabbalah does, for some reason, capture people's attention. Let's be honest, human beings are exotic. They're exotic. Things that are apparent or revealed, we always want to know what's behind the curtain. What's under the desert? What's behind the scenes? Beyond doors of perception. So it's not surprising that people are intrigued when they hear them this esoteric teachings. You hear the secrets of the soul, the secrets of the cosmos, the blueprint and DNA of existence in the universe and beyond. The blueprint that makes us. These are fascinating elements. And that's why, on one hand, yes, it does touch a certain resonate element from us wanting to know, like just like children, they talk about to see what makes something tick. You want to know what makes things tick. And we have heard that the Kabbalah teaches them. So interesting. But with great care is taken, that it should feed and spill over into sensationalism, which is why they say that Kabbalah, those that say don't know, and those that know don't say, which of course creates the quandary. If I say anything, they don't know. However, as we should discuss, the kind of time that Kabbalah did become more revealed for certain very important reasons. So what is really, first of all, the meaning of the word? Because once we have the meaning of the word, that will become the key that will open up for us this fascinating journey into deeper dimensions of existence. So the word, surprise, surprise, is deceptively simple. It means to receive or reception. So it means to receive or receive. And you say, 1 second. What does that mean? You may have a mobile phone as a signal person in the cheerleader. So all knowledge is passed on from teacher to student, from parent to child, being receptive mode, the receptor, the receptacle, receiving from the giver. Yet when it comes to these teachings, it's even more critical. That's why the entire study of it is called Kabbalah. And for two reasons. You need to be in a receiver from someone before you. It's not someone who can come up with their own ideas. It's our idea that you need to preserve their integrity and to really have an impact. You really need to be good. And passed on from teacher to students. You need to be in Kabbalah. Who did you recover from? Who did you receive from? As you say, all knowledge is not yet true, but the more so you learn, and the more you find, more dense, the more so, the more important it is to have receiving teaching from students. And the second element, which goes even deeper and connected to the first reason, is that you need to be in a receiving mode. If you're a master, and you feel you're a master, you feel you have a lot to give, that's not the mode. Make Kabbalah an empty receptacle, an empty channeling something about it. So though again, this is true for all knowledge, when it comes especially to spiritual, to the spiritual DNA, the inner workings of existence and of the human being, there it's even amplified and more important. Because you're dealing with literally the nuances. Think of it this way. When you perform surgery, especially sensitive surgery, neurological surgery, brain surgery, it's very difficult. Surgery, you need a master. You don't know that because every part of the body is intricate. The more intricate it is, the more care has to be in how it's taught, because once on the other hand, you're dealing with very, very sensitive a human being, and therefore much more complex and much more important to have in a receiving mode, a humble mode. A little tinge of arrogance when it comes to mathematics, when it comes to other elements of study, is also not helpful. Because arrogance disturbs the mind, makes biases and prejudices, and you can end up making mistakes. And when it comes especially to sensitive matters of life and death, with every detail, every micro detail matters, then it has to be so much more so. That state of Kabbalah, that it be a student, and being in a student state always matters, as we're going to explain now. You'll see why it's so critical. So in life in general, a person has two states. The way we're givers, the way we're takers. I would say receivers and transmitters. In the early parts of our lives, we're more receptive to them. Children learn. They learn from their environment, they learn from their parents, from their environments, from their schools, from their friends, from their teachers, for good or for bad. But that's a child is an empty container, and just beginning to fill up with energy. As we get older and we become more familiar with information, we also start mastering it, and then we can also become teachers. The truth, a healthy human being should be both a student and a teacher. But you begin by thinking many times. Now, if a person never didn't know how to listen well, you can't trust them how to speak well. Because they didn't really have that state where they were humble, where they were modest, where they were at that point where they are a student of information. Then you can ask yourself, hey, the integrity of the original. I've seen people are brilliant, and they present an idea, and very often I go check, and I see it's not, they didn't really master what it said. They were smart, so they got it quickly, and they convey it more or less. Some treated mistakes, and they began to translate before they absorbed. You want someone who spent many years absorbing it. Let apprentice it. Let a teacher. So that is critical, as I said, but especially when you're dealing with the secret DNA of our souls, of our bodies, of who we are, and it takes on a whole new shape and form. If somebody gets up there and doing a course on real estate tips, or writing tips, or cooking tips, even if they have a tinge or more than a tinge of arrogance, they say, you know what? I don't care about their arrogance. At least I'm getting what my money's worth. And the tips, I don't care about the person. I'm talking about matters of the heart and soul, about emotion, about empathy, about how we reach a more deeper, transcendent state. And with arrogance, it's the whole communication. They say, can I trust this? They're very academic. So it's one thing being academic about a subject matter that is not important that you be exact with. But I want to find out that a person is cruel to their children, to their spouse, with other people talking to me about sensitivity. You say, why not? Just how they say, right? You see the truth, but here you're ruining it from a person. You say to yourself, you know what, is that the message? It can be one thing, say another. So when it comes to matters, as I said, real estate or something like that, get to it. People would think wouldn't go, and would be more receptive. But when it comes to matters of the heart and soul, I want some integrity, at least an attempt at it. The person could say, I'm not perfect. When I'm teaching, I also aspire to. But you don't see them using the material to be arrogant. That's why it's so vital to have that receptive mode. When it comes to psychological, personal, spiritual issues, we call psycho-spiritual matters, Kabbalah mode is even more vital than firstly, that creates empathy. And they say people don't care how much you know until they know. Secondly, the material, and thirdly, the material actually being conveyed consistent with what its message is. As I said, cooking, so you're cooking, fine. So you convey it whatever way you convey it. You gave me the recipe, you gave me the true method. But here, it's the approach as well. How you teach it is also part of what you're teaching. You can go on and on, but I think the point is clear. So that's why when it comes to Kabbalah, it was always taught with so much care. It was not taught in big groups. It was kept secret. Not because it's secret to be confidential, but because it's easy to have business. Start understanding the inner workings of a human being, a person. Person of integrity, you can start getting to your head and then manipulate. That's how more subtly you can make mistakes in such an area that you only want people who really respect. You don't need one in the room. There's no surgery room that does not have the trust, is not clean. In this case, spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, tampering with the inner workings of people are undercover. So they're just mechanics, plumbers, it's one thing. It's about physical plumbers. So they're dealing with something where you don't need to have that whole but if they are filled with that inner self, I'm entrusting them with my soul, my life. So you want them to be in a Kabbalah state, that they're receiving. They're not the powerful, all-powerful mastery over you. They are channeling that which came to them from their teacher. So Kabbalah as a receiving from their teacher, and which they're receiving right now, because they're empty receptacles and allowing it to flow through them. And that becomes critical. That is why it's so challenging when you see today Kabbalah has become popular, fashionable. You have to always wonder, if people, is there the element of that humility? Is there the element of the honesty? That suspension of self? Like sometimes they, I'm a Kabbalah. I know a lot of Kabbalah. I'll tell you what I know, and they start spouting. And they even actually know stuff. But many ways, one less than someone doesn't. Because they're missing the whole point is as being a more humble person. Not someone who can say, hey, I got a PhD in mathematics, I have a PhD in medicine, in law, a PhD in Kabbalah. Doesn't mean Kabbalah is not about PhDs. The PhD is how much of an empty yourself. How much have you freed yourself of your ego? How much have you gone beyond your self-interest and comfort? That's the PhD. They don't get a PhD because at that level they look for awards. or rewards, or any other type of recognition. You just truly want to be a humble, simple servant of a higher truth. And that's what the true Kabbalists most study is like going with his outside, his Yom you have simcha, his day of joy. And that will explain why he of all people, we celebrate. Because he wasn't just another person. They were tremendous sages, and they were all humble people. Rabbi Akiva, the greatest of the great. He taught to love your fellow as yourself. He's taught as a fundamental principle. Great of great. But he didn't have that. He himself says in the Talmud that my student Rabbi, he is the cream of the crop. And that doesn't take it away from Akiva. Everyone has their role. Always showing by their fellows key role to bridge two worlds. Conscious and the world of the conscious. And that's why he was a master in both worlds. But the Akiva and others were also masters. They also knew Kabbalah. He was even the teacher. I should say the student with Kabbalah. In many ways, he represented that element of a transparent and empty container channel. And no Simona Bahama, the Talmud says. And the Akiva Rabbi said, all I am is a signpost. I'm nothing. I am nothing. I am just a channel. Look at me as a signpost. That's what he said. He channeled that deeper and higher wisdom. Again, I want to make it clear that Rabbi Akiva and many sages. But some people stand out for what he did in that way, and that's what he represented. The bridging of those two worlds, the bridging of the world of the soul and the world of the body. The soul of Torah, the body of Torah. The soul of the human being, the body of human. The soul of the cosmos, the body of the cosmos. Because as the Kabbalah teaches as well as the Talmud, and the members, the sages teach, like the fundamental beautiful principle, microcosm, macrocosm. Everything that exists in the macrocosmic universe, in the cosmic level, is this microcosm in a miniature form within us. The small universe, the universe of microcosm, not the person. And blood is and blood is the human, and the world is a large organism, a large microcosm. So it's all intertwined. The hologram, it's not just intertwined, it's all continuously interconnected. One large integral unity, multifaceted pieces. Harmony within diversity. That's what I'm sharing by your friends. So the true meaning, the definition of Kabbalah is to receive, is to free yourself, to empty yourself, to shed yourself in order to absorb and receive something greater. That's its essence. And the Kabbalistic teachings and the mystical things, it's more important than ever. When you study, let's say, law, you study, for example, what's supposed to be done on Shabbat, what work you can do, what you can't do, what prayers to say, what you eat on Passover, what you do on Shavuos. So they were mastering facts, intricate facts, many different opinions, there's theories, there's ideas. But you need humility as well. All wisdom, gracious stuff with yourself. The beginning of all wisdom is all of the divine, something greater than you. But when you're dealing with the inner dimension, the subtlety becomes so much. Think of it like this: when a piece of dust is blemish, when a little piece of dust is on your eye, then it's very irritating. The deeper you go inside the inner workings, every small nuance, every detail, every iota is so much more significant. That's why the level of the DNA, the cellular, the microscopic level, every little detail matters so much more. So in Kabbalah, every blemish, every tinge of ego, that's not Kabbalah mode. You receptive mode can be restored. Immediately every time. So that's the journey of Kabbalah. The more you learn, the less you have. Kabbalah, journey of Kabbalah requires stepping back. You don't want to change. You see what I do? Get the I in the sentence. Not I want it. You want to experience something greater, free yourself. Of what? Of your ego. Of your determination to become a humble, simple person. And you'll these distance will open up. It emerges. You cannot try to force it because it's against all nature. Try to countries of the flower. Try to force a child to come out of the womb prematurely. It needs the time to develop, it needs time to merge, and it's a process. It's a process and emerges that way. You're not the giver. You're not the acquisition, acquirer. You're not the buyer, the purchaser. You set the mode and then purchase. Abraham went searching for God. Process of elimination. It's not in his own environment. His father was a massive, major auto manufacturer. He needed God and idol Abraham. Abraham at young age realized it's a whole bluff. He realized it was made of wood or stone or metal or meaningless. So he rejected like the world of the pagan world of his father and his community and his society. He then searched it. How do you search? You start saying, okay, it's not that. What may it be? He went out to the fields. Beautiful nature. Maybe it's that. You know, also, it's not just the stars, it's beyond the stars. I'm looking for God. I'm just a piece. We should be the creator. The whole defines the piece. And the actual search is undermining his ability to truly experience. Of course, you can experience some levels of transcendence. But when he discovered that he has to let go, and then what happened to him? It emerged. The search itself, though commendable and admirable, and everybody should search, the search let him now to stop searching. Maybe just let it emerge. Let me close my eyes, my taste, touch, and smell. Let me stop using my aggressive faculty, sources, and senses, and let me see what happens. And that quietude, and that silence, God emerges. Because the truth emerges from within. It's not something out there. Again, you could experience something's out there. The truth comes from within. And when Abraham realized that, he said, I just have to let go. I need to be comfortable. I need to be receptive. Stand in front of a beautiful natural wonder. You're trying to master it. You're trying to make it. When you analyze it, when you explain it, there's a certain moment we have to realize you just have to stand in awe. And it's an unbelievably purifying, transformative, refining experience. Because it's not about you. You're somebody that absorbed in the moment. Into music.
So can you fucking matches, kids?
Analyzing this music. Stop. Let go. You're being undressed. The music envelops you. Just like when you go underwear. Because that piece, you allow it to consume you instead of you consuming it. But if you're a consumer, if you're a purchaser, position, the person becomes commercial. Same thing when you're absorbed in the book. If you're reading the words, you're not in the zone, you're not in the moment. Let go. And suddenly you're reading the book as if it's happening right now. You can cry and laugh. And someone come by and say, oh, he's reading the book. You don't even realize you're turning pages. You don't even realize there's words on the page. A good writer can do that. Everything melts. Everything melts with the object of someone, and you're completely absorbed. Those are the most magical moments of life. And then suddenly you wake up, and you're out of it. The same thing's when we're in love. In deep love, the passions and flows of love. What is the ultimate experience? A loss of self. Being absorbed in the experience. We wish we could have much more of that. But we're human beings that do live in a world of duality. And not always blessed to be able to come to that place where you melt into the experience. That's the ultimate experience. You become it, not you experience it. A dry hand becomes wet when it's put into water. A fish, part of the wetness, but water itself doesn't become wet. It is wet. You can acquire knowledge, and you can become knowledge. You become what you know, not just you know that. You become it, you experience it. And initially you experience it, you're here, you're experiencing something, and then you come into that. Whereas we personified this type of seamlessness of all of existence. And we live on that level. It's a very sublime and very pure level. But the mission and goal was not to remain there. It was to enter a world that will do our own pains and there repair. As the story is, that Emperor we had to hide from the Romans who were pursuing him because he studied Torah, which was a forbidden death penalty. So he lived for 12 years in a mire in a cave, miraculous food. All they kept hearing this unbelievable simple son of the Lord. Then came news that he can come back. So he came back, but he was at this point so refined, so away from civilization that as soon as he saw the Nazis, the Wall Street, whatever he did was that the Talmud says began to burn. Figuratively, literally, meaning his deep spiritual state could not tolerate, and therefore destroyed everything around. So Hashem accessed him, and you're not ready. You're not mature enough. Go back a 13th year, Bar Mitzvah, become more mature. And now the 13th year, one more year, must be wherever he went, he would go. Wherever he's broken with this. You think the first level is much greater. It's so high. Spirituality, but that's not the purpose of existence. The purpose of existence is that be that spiritual, but also know how to package it, how to tailor it, how to communicate it to a world, to a conscious world, to a world that is not living on outside world, and slowly, spoon-feed, slowly teach them also how to become that person. And that's what we man of our own. So even though it was his passing, which is sad day, but because he saw the seamlessness and unity of everything, he immediately saw within the passing, he saw the great beauty and the great joy that would come out of it, that does still his day. Similar to his teacher, Rabbi Akiva, actually, the Talmud, then the Makkah says the whole was an interesting story. Rabbi Akiva and his colleagues were standing on looking at the Temple Mount. And they were bemoaning the fact that the destruction of the temple, fox, running out of the place that was once the Holy of Holies, the Holy of Holies, fox, the wilderness, became a desolate wilderness. So his colleagues began to cry because it was the fulfillment of the tragic fulfillment of the prophecy. The temple would be destroyed for the sins of the people. And the people began to laugh. Why do you laugh? She says, because of evil. Greater than ever, I'll never be destroyed again. So what was the difference? And then his colleague said to him, Akiva, you've consoled us. Akiva, you've consoled us. Twice console you for the sad and console you for the positive that came out. What did Rabbi Akiva see that they didn't see? He had a different set of eyes. Because his name was Rabbi Akiva. Akiva comes from the root Akev. He came from the converts. She was a convert, or her parents were converts, different opinions. He did not study Torah till he was 40 years. Alright, that was desolate. And he saw from desolation come greatness. So he understood something that others who grew up in prosperity, spiritual prosperity, and knowledge, not fully appreciate. So I'm surprised that his student, Rav Shimon Ben Yochai, says the name of that for great souls like him, there was no destruction. He was so beyond destruction. And he still had to do something to repair that destruction. When his soul, his experience must be like even deeper than Rabbi Akiva in a way. The taking Rabbi Akiva's cue sees even in the negative the positive. And teaches us how to transform. That's the power of esoteric. So now once we know that You have to be in that mode. So then, you know what happens? Your soul starts speaking to you. Jackhammer. With their pliers, trying to force your soul to speak. You say, I want to know the secrets of Kabbalah, like we said before. With aggressive tools, that can work for physical things. You break open the chest and you see what secrets are. And your soul, you're the opposite. Tools of subtlety, tools of humility. You want your soul to speak to you. Let go. Stop pursuing. Stop being so much about yourself. More of you, be charitable and something will open up. Because it speaks to us only when there's nothing else in the way. And the Talmud says, God says, I, an arrogant person, cannot rest on the one canopy. There's no room for both of us. If your cup is full, it can't be filled. Kabbalah says, empty your cup, you know what happened? Your soul will not speak. So it's humility. It's the commitment and dedication to responsibility. And being a soldier committed to a cause that allows the secrets of your and the cosmos to open up. For centuries, this was kept a very private thing. Because only a few people really were able to do it. Did it for everybody else. But we don't live in a world like that anymore. It's not a pure world today. Number one, we live in much darkness. And therefore, we have to dig deeper in order to find spiritual resources. That's the famous analogy of Rabbi Rothschild to his college. He said, how you're teaching these secrets to everybody, don't abuse it, don't waste it. He says, well, you know, he gave that analogy of a child who fell very ill, the child of the king, his only child. And he was deathly ill, and the doctors gave him care. Nothing worked. And they sent for doctors and medical experts from all over the world. Finally, one exotic city, the doctor arrives, says, I have it. The king has a crown. And that crown is some of the most precious jewels on earth. There's its most precious gem of all. There's a rare gem nobody else has. If you crush that gem and you mix its powder with a little water, you try to get it between the clenched teeth of this sickly child, that may help. So most of it may even drip out. He looked at the king, his most precious jewel. King, without hesitation, what do I need my crown for? My son, my heir is now. And they crushed it, and that's what they did. And most of it's still on the ground. Wasted. But that one drop saved the child. And even the doubt was enough. Shorshah is on the sun. Yes, the precious gem of the inner workings, which we don't just share with everyone, is necessary today because the child is sick. Assimilation, alienation, disorientation. Everything that people experience today when it comes to spirituality. So we have to do whatever it takes for something to go deeper as the Arizal, great, perhaps the Hanukkah, as great as the Rashbi, something even greater. He taught that the Rashbi after he revealed it's a mitzvah legalization. Now it's a mitzvah to reveal that inner wisdom. And the Baal Shem Tov took it a step further when he heard from the Messiah that when will you come? He asked the Messiah said, well, your wellsprings, not just your waters. The wellsprings themselves, the essence, their source itself, will be disseminated and spread outward to the farthest outcomes. And Hasidic teachings, which is essentially Kabbalah for the modern time, developed from Shnei Zalman of the Adi, the Chabad system of making it understandable even to the animals, reading with examples and metaphors, and that can relate to this deepest readings from the time of Rashbi, will be able to relate to the deeper workings of the soul. So today, ironically, though we're not on the level of the people in previous generations, but we have true revelation of this, but it has to be taught with care. As the Tzaddik can always write, it's very important to speak about it in metaphorical language. People shouldn't take literally many of the Kabbalistic analogies, which are from human beings. And to teach subtlety, as I said before, if you have that Kabbalah mode, you teach subtlety. And what do you discover? Unbelievable insights. You get secrets of the inner workings, literally the inner schematics of the spiritual genome of the human being and of the cosmos. I've spoken about some of these matters at different times, and it literally opens up whole new dimension of who you are. They think you are legs, body, limbs, organs. We know today the human body is made, the whole world is made up of underlying tissue, muscles and nerves, and skeleton. You go even deeper inside there, you find the circulatory system, the nervous system, the neurological system, to the point of the cellular level, to the point of the chromosomes, the DNA itself. Things that are invisible to the naked eye. Same thing in the macrocosm as the microcosm. Everything of substance is made up of elements of molecules of atoms, you have subatomic particles, subatomic, and who knows how far the rabbit hole you can go. And all of that teaches us that when you go to the inner workings, it's a whole new reality. All of technology is really revelation of the inner. We could say that's esoteric. The classic Zohar work that I mean, there's one of the chapters in the year, which corresponds to our 1850. Information. 1840, sorry. Industrial Revolution. There'll be an explosion of upper, higher knowledge and lower knowledge. Explosions of Kabbalah and of the science and the inner workings. Obviously, the Kabbalah goes even deeper into the spiritual atoms and subatomic particles. The spiritual, and we discover a whole new reality. And when you know that reality, you can understand the existence in a new way. You no longer just look at the surface level, you understand the forces that shape the surface. Just like meteorologists will tell you the systems, the pressure systems, underlying forces, the winds, and so on, that cause weather systems. The Kabbalists will tell you what's behind the meteorological forces, what's behind the human being's outer expression, the inner psyche. So yes, it's deeply therapeutic, psychological, and deeply spiritual. And the more you study it, the more you come to realize, look at the world from the inside out instead of the outside out. That's what the culture is. And it opens up new vistas and unprecedented insights to be able to live life in a completely fresh and new way, new possibilities. To be able to have healthy relationships and reach potential that many are not even aware of, because you discover those inner workings. But there's that prerequisite. You can't go there. It doesn't let you in unless the door opens. And the door can only open by you putting yourself aside and allowing it to emerge. And then you'll be surprised what happens. So we do that through study. You put yourself aside and just study. We do it through prayer. And we do it through good deeds. Through charitable acts of compassion. The more refined you are, the more humble that's selfless, and put yourself aside and emerges. So you can obviously study the information. To my friends, in this love room, which is the door, is a bridge. Now we take the door open, it opens up the window, a door, to a new reality. We have the opportunity to enter there through that humble act. We'll bring the children on that. Not a surprise, because children are exactly that. They're the best who we are. The egoists, the selflessness. Now children can be arrogant, they usually learn from adults, but children also have that innocence, that simplicity. You need to be that shown around that way. And then carry it over to the rest of the year. So to give one example, because there's so much, one example is a whole discussion in the Zohar, in the esoteric teachings, about the idea of its own Moshe Stima. Moshe Stima means the concealed or the hidden intelligence. But some would call subconscious, unconscious, I like to call it superconscious, which is beyond conscious. That's an area that we don't have direct access to. However, the conscious mind does have access. How does it have access? A small little door window opens up between the two. We cannot see that window. We only, an idea settles in or enters your consciousness. Where did it come from? You say where? That's good. power of what? What was that? So based on several places, Hasidic teachings explain that this bridge between Chochmas Tima and Chochmas Bria, superconscious intelligence, and conscious intelligence, is that bridge, that faucet, that regulates the flow, like a valve, can be opened through two ways. One is through effort, and the second is through selflessness, Kabbalah. You just commit to the cause. You cannot open it with arrogance. You cannot open it, on the contrary, that will make it even closed even deeper. So you see, sometimes you see a child hungry, and you say, you go aggressively to tell the child you run away. A flower will open when you allow it to. If you try to push it, the flower can maybe even tighten up. So it's the process of letting go that allows that door to open up. The effort, which means diligence, not just automatically hoping it will just come to you, a type of commitment and selflessness. So one thought comes from the Zohar's teaching is explaining, as I said, which is the Hasidic thought. There are many, many others, and they map out everything about us. My book, The Spiritual Guide to Counting Number, the ideas that are based there are from Kabbalistic and Hasidic and Kabbalistic works, ultimately based on the Zohar, how each one of the spheres is another divine attribute. That turns into a human faculty. And when we refine it, we just don't give in to our natural instincts and impulses. When we refine our chesed, our kindness, and our compassion, and our ambition and determination, and our humility, and our dignity, courage, ideas that shapes who you are as a person. But it's all all of that is selfless, the Kabbalah, that's so much part of it. On this day, it's a great idea. Actually, study sign, ViralRabbi.com. Just look up Rashbi or Kabbalah. Study something, read something. But also make a commitment to yourself, to your soul, the soul of these teachings, that you're going to try to discover it wrong. But out of the good, not in this aggressive manner. Commit to it and stick to it. But stick to it and commit to it in a humble way. Not that I want it, but it's necessary. It's necessary for me to grow. What better way to celebrate? So I go with our children, with our grandchildren, go to the park, go to parades. To celebrate the bridge between the inner and the outer, because ultimately the world in which we live is the tip of the iceberg. You don't really see the inner world. The more you get connected, the more you connect to reality. And the more that has an effect on people around you, on your friends and family and strangers, and then ultimately in the world. And yes, it enhances relationships. It improves them infinitely. Because you start looking at life in a different way, not from the outside of what do I have, and then let me figure it out. What do I do? And then we figure out who I am. Who are you? And then let that dictate what you do. Figure out why I'm focused. And that dictates activities. So may I open up this challenge and blessings from my to all of us teachers. Please know that meaningful centers here for your partners, access and take advantage, make use of all our rich resources. Please stay in touch and every podcast share, like, pass on. Every Wednesday, this is a live program. It's archived. You can download on iTunes, podcasts, wherever you wish. We're on all platforms. And please send us your suggestions, ideas, feedback, thoughts, rebuttals, questions, thoughts. And we wish you have a very blessed week that connects the inner and the outer and discuss the merit of truth. Should this should us all well? As we've said, that you can rely, like the college of Rabbi said, you can rely on things. He himself said, I can redeem you from judgments. May he forgive us for no judgments, because we redeem in the general sense, personal and global redemption. In America, this beautiful and powerful day. Everyone be well. It's Maxine Jacobson. Meaningfulland.com. Thank you so much.
Oh, that was boring. Really, dog, did you see how I was with that fucking mattress, folks? Sick. You're fired. Go fuck yourself. Really? Oh, dog. One of the most athletic demonstrations in the history of the world. No doubt, no doubt. This